might have been confusing. So, the important things that you need to know. An equation is your math problem, and it has an equal sign. That's the big thing. Please make sure you know an equation is a math problem, and it has an equal sign. The solution is the answer. It's the answer for the variable. If you don't have a variable, you don't have a solution. So the solution is the value of the variable that makes an equation true. It's the answer to the variable. The word solve. Solve is what's going to be told to you in the directions. A lot of y'all have used solve the wrong way for a really long time. A couple of weeks ago when we were talking about working out math problems, you told me that meant solving math problems. Was there a variable? So you weren't solving them. You were evaluating them. You were working them out. You were getting an answer, but not a solution. But if you're not getting a solution, you are not solving. So there is a little bit of distinction there in algebra now that we're getting into like the nitty-gritty of it. All right. So your directions will tell you to solve, which will be you need to find an answer to an equation. Okay. So that all goes together. In order to solve and find the answer to an equation, you will do that by isolating the variable. The word isolate means that you're going to get the variable by itself. You're going to get the variable alone. All right. Are there any questions about just the definitions? All right. We're going to jump into some of the math problems. Yeah. No, Wednesday is sack lunch. Thursday, I'm not completely sure. I know we'll be eating in the cafeteria on Thursday in our regular lunch line, so I'm not sure. All right, Micah? Okay, thank you. All right. So let's talk about how to work these problems, and then if we have other questions about the agenda, we'll go over those. Something I do want to point out before we start doing this video or continuing is you'll notice over here for this week there are no tests or quizzes, but it says the equation test will be next Wednesday, which is on the 11th of December. And then your 9 weeks test for math is Tuesday, December 17th. You need to do everything in your power to be here for the next week and a half. Okay? That's all the new material we're going to cover is a week and a half. Then we'll start getting ready for your 9 weeks test, basically. Okay? So if you can just try to make sure you're here for the next week and a half so you don't miss anything new, that would be awesome, because we need this last test to be our best test. Also, if you do have to miss, please remember these videos are online, so you can make sure you're staying caught up with things. All right? Okay, first problem. We want to solve these equations. So I'm going to, walk by step by step on how to solve one of these equations. All right, the first thing we're going to do, guys, is that equal sign is what makes it an equation, correct? That equal sign is also what splits it up. This side is what equals that side. Do you agree? That equal sign is what splits it. So we're going to draw a line through the equal sign, just showing that that's what splits my left side and my right side. Okay? Are we okay so far? Now our goal is to get that letter, which in this case is X by itself. So I want everyone to put your pencil on X. Put your pencil on X. Okay. Griffin, what number is with X? 3.82. Does everyone understand that 3.82 is on the same side as X? Okay. So 3.82 is the number that we're going to use. And we're going to write it on both sides. I'm writing it underneath itself. And then I'm writing it underneath the next number, making sure to line those decimals up. Are there any questions on why I use 3.82? All right, now we're going to decide what to do with it. Okay. You're always going to do the opposite. So you pick the number that's with the variable, and then we're going to do the opposite every time. So what does it tell me we're doing right now? We're adding. So Juanita, what is the opposite of adding? Subtracting. So in front of this 3.2, I'm going to put a minus sign. Are there any questions on how I picked the number or how I picked that it's minus? Okay. All right, I'm going to draw a line just because now I'm going to work out some math. All right. So guys, these were opposites. That's why we picked minus, because plus and minus are opposite. And since these are opposites and they're the same number, this is just going to go away. It's going to become 0. Do y'all agree 3.82 minus 3.82 is 0? Yeah. And what is x plus 0?
2x
Just x, right? Adding 0 to anything. So I'm just going to make that an x now. So now you'll notice x is isolated. X is by itself. That line that we drew shows me where that equal sign has to stay. The equal sign is always splitting it up, so we need to keep that there. All right, and now we're going to subtract this. Now, before I can actually do the subtraction, what do I need to do? Raise your hand. Mason?
Add the 0.
Add the 0. So now I have a number above 2. Can I do 0 minus 2? So I'm going to borrow. 1's going to become 0, and I'm going to put that 1 in front of the 0. Now, guys, one of the hardest things I think about this is we got to remember how to do decimals again, and there's also a couple of fractions on here that we're going to have to remember how to do. All right, let's do 10 minus 2, which is 8. 0 minus 8? Can't do it, so let's borrow. 5 becomes 4, and now it's 10 minus 8, which is 2. Remember, we lined up those decimals. Keep them in line. Bring it down. And then 4 minus 3 is 1. So for my answer, I just found out that x equals 1.28. Do y'all agree? All right. Here's the great thing about these problems. Usually, like when you do your math test, you turn it in and just like hope for the best. Hope you got all of them correct. On these problems, you don't have to hope. You can check and make sure you did your math correctly. So we're going to do that, and not by just reworking it, because if I rework it and do the same mistake, I'm going to get the same wrong answer. So I'm going to put a little check mark here, because this is where I'm going to check my work. We already have our answer. I just want to check and make sure it's the correct answer. Alexis, question?
So how do you know like how many zeros, or it's just a 0?
Remember, if there's a space without anything, that's when we add that 0 on top or underneath. Either way.
Would there be like, if there was more spaces to be filled in, is the bottom
like if there were more numbers after the 2, we would put more zeros. Just make sure everything has a 0 on top or on bottom. All right, so when we check this, my check isn't showing up good. All right, when we check this, the first thing I want you to do is, again, put your pencil where your letter was. All right, what problem does that letter create? On, in this case, the left-hand side, what problem does that say, Micah? Yeah, like read the whole problem.
Oh, x plus 3.82.
Perfect. So I'm going to write down x plus 3.82 right here. X plus 3.82. Do y'all agree that was my original problem? Yes. Okay. Think it's about 2 weeks ago when I gave you a problem with x in it. The directions would tell you what x equals, wouldn't it? Now, these directions didn't tell me that, but what did I just find out? X equals. So, can I work out this problem now?
Yes.
Yeah, so where x is, I'm going to say that's 1.28. And adding up stuff is usually easier if I do it vertically so I can carry everything. So underneath that, I'm going to put plus the 3.82. Are there any questions on where I got this math problem from? Okay. So now 8 plus 2 is 10. Carry my 1. 1 plus 2 is 3 plus 8 is 11. Carry my 1. 1, 1, and 3 is 5. Don't forget we needed to bring that decimal down. So I had 5.10. Where else did I see that? Mason?
You saw it in your math problem.
Yeah, in the original problem it said 5.1, and then we added that 0. Y'all agree?
Yes.
Since these match, since that's worked out and gave me the same number, that's how I know I checked this correctly and I had the right answer. Okay? I have a video that's going to be going out of every single homework problem that we worked. Okay? Now here's the thing, guys. I worked those problems very quickly. In fact, it took me 9 minutes to work all of your homework problems. Now, it should take you longer than 9 minutes. This is the first time you've done it. But that way you can pause the video. It's on YouTube, so you can pause. You can take it back, rewatch ones that you need to. All right? But because I worked it in 9 minutes and I was kind of in a hurry, I made some mistakes. It happens. But when I checked them, my answer didn't work, and I was able to go back and fix it in the video. All right? So that checking it is really important. So then, yes, there are mistakes in my video, but I was able to fix them before I had parents or you guys emailing me saying, Miss Sawyer, you messed up a problem, because that's really embarrassing. All right? Madison? So it ended up being 0.10 because we did have that extra number here in my answer. But does that 0 at the end matter? No, so really, this doesn't matter, and that 5.1 is exactly what was typed out in the original problem. We added the 0 at the end because it didn't matter, just like I could take the 0 at the end off. All right, and that's something that decimals sometimes will give you extra zeros where we don't need them. Okay, Mason?
Can we work this out on a piece of paper?
Yes, you may. You can always use a piece of paper because I know this is going to get a little crowded. All right, let's do the next one. So again, do y'all see where my equal sign is?
Yes, ma'am.
We're going to draw a line. Go ahead, draw your line where the equal sign is. All right. And then I want you to put your pencil on your letter. All right, our pencil is on our letter. All right, this time we're on the right side. That's okay, we're going to work it the same way. Alexis, what number is with my letter? 18. So underneath 18, I'm going to write 18, and I'm also going to write it on the other side. Okay. What operation is happening right now? What operation is happening right now, Tyler?
Addition.
Addition, so what's the opposite?
Subtraction.
Subtraction. And we're always doing the opposite, so I'm going to put a minus sign and a minus sign. Okay. So let's work out 72 minus 18. Can I do 2 minus 8? So I'm going to borrow from 7. 7 becomes 6, and 2 becomes 12. 12 minus 8 is 4, and 6 minus 1 is? That line means that's where we put our equal sign. What happens to 18 minus 18, Griffin? Yeah, it becomes 0. It goes away, and we're left with y. So there's my answer. Now we want to check it and see if we got it right. So I'm going to put my little check mark. Put your pencil back where your letter was. All right? On the right-hand side, what did my original problem say, Isabella? On the right-hand side. 18 plus y. So I'm going to write down 18 plus y, because that was the original problem. Do y'all agree? Yes. Now, what did we just find out y is? Y is 54. So to work this out to see if y works.
Herlong, please report to the student office. Alea Herlong. Thank you.
To see if it works, I'm going to take my 18 and I'm going to add 54. Are there any questions on where I'm getting that new math problem that I just wrote? No. All right, so 8 plus 4 is 12. Carry my 1. 1, 1, and 5 is? Okay, so let's look over here. It said 72. In my original problem, is that what I got in my checking? Yeah, so I know I got the answer right. If those did not match, then I would know that I made a math mistake somewhere. Okay. All right, let's look at number 3. Draw your line. All right, put your pencil on your letter. Alex, what number is with my letter? What number is on the same side as my letter? Okay, so N is my letter. What number is with it? The 1.5. So 1.5 is the number that I'm going to put on both sides. Do you notice I'm never putting a number with the letter? Because can I do math to the letter? No, the letter doesn't actually change at all. If you look, every time the letter just kind of goes down. The letter just kind of keeps going down. All right. So now I need to decide, what am I doing with that 1.5? Jake? What am I doing with the 1.5? What do I need to do to work the problem? We need to subtract it. So this says addition, you're correct. But then to work it, we are going to subtract because that's the opposite. And we're always going to do the opposite, even tomorrow when we multiply and divide. Okay, so let's subtract this. Make sure you have your decimals lined up. 8 minus 5 is 3. Bring your decimal down. 9 minus 1. 8. What goes on the bar? Your equal sign. What happens to 1.5 minus 1.5, Jackson? It just goes away, and we just have the n. And it just kind of came down in my answer. Okay? So 8.3 equals n. So let's check it. All right. What did my original problem say? If I look on the right-hand side, what did my original problem say, Ella? On the right-hand side, what did my original problem say with my letter? The whole problem on the right-hand side. N plus 1.5. So, N is first. What did we find out that N was in my answer? N is 8.3 plus 1.5. 3 plus 5 is 8. Bring down your decimal. 8 and 1 is?
9.
All right, so there's 9.8. There's 9.8. Do those match?
Yes.
So that looks good. Okay. All right. Number 4, we're drawing our line. All right, put your pencil on your letter. Gauge. What number is with my letter? 2. So I'm going to write 2 on both sides. Now this one gets a little tricky, and this is where I had people have some trouble today, okay? What operation do I need to do here? Adrian?
Subtraction.
So subtraction is what's given to me. What's the opposite?
Addition.
Addition. So I'm actually going to be doing addition. All right, I want to pause here. Are there any questions why I'm now adding? The opposite of subtracting is adding. We're okay with that? Good? Okay. I'm going to draw a line here. All right, another place. People have had a lot of trouble here. This doesn't say 2 plus 2. It's a minus 2 plus 2. Those are opposites. Do y'all agree? So, for example, if I borrow $2 from Juanita, if I borrow $2 from her, now she has like negative $2, right? Because I've taken $2. And then I give her $2 back. Does she get any extra money? No. All right. So let me tell you another example of this. If I'm looking at a number line, let's see, 0. You don't have to write this. You do need to pay attention to this, though. Okay. So this minus 2 is like a negative 2. Do y'all agree with that? That minus 2 and this 2 look the same. If I add 2, I should be going forwards, yes? So when I add 2 going forwards, that's plus 1. Plus 2, where did I end up?
0.
At 0. So since these are opposite, what happens is they go away and I'm left with
0.
W. Okay? They do become 0, leaving us with just the W. All right? If they are opposite, even though we're adding, that first one was subtraction, so they're still going to go away. Are y'all okay with that? Okay. All right. And then 9 plus 2 is 11. Okay, let's check it. All right. Bianca, what was the problem that it gave me with my letter? Okay. So if I look on the left side, what problem did it say originally? On the left side of the equal sign. W minus 2. Because you marked it out? That's fine. As you can tell, mine, when you mark stuff out, because we are looking back at it, you might want to mark it out kind of lightly or just do like one line through it. All right, so I have W minus 2 from the problem. Now, what did I find out W was? 11. So that really means 11 minus 2. And what is 11 minus 2 equal to? 9. Now, isn't that exactly what my problem said there? So did I get the right answer? Yep. Check. We got it right. Okay. Let's look at number 5. Drawing my line again. Okay. Amelia, what number is next to my letter? 17. And what should I be doing with that 17? Okay, so I've got 17 on both sides, and what am I going to be doing with those mathematically? adding because the opposite of subtraction is plus. Okay, so 4 plus 7. 11. 1, 1, and 8. 10. So I get 110. Make sure we keep our equal sign. What happens to a minus 17 and a plus 17?
F.
It's just F. Jake, you're giving me a face. What's up?
Well, whenever you put 101, sometimes it's 10.
Oh. So this is obviously not 110. It's 101. Thank you, Jake, for catching my misspoken. Me messing up. Thank you for catching that.
What's your cursive F?
Huh? Oh, I'm not going to be that fancy. All right. So, let's check it. Let's check it now. Gray, what was my original problem?
F minus 17.
All right, good catch. And I want to kind of mention what Gray just did there. He started to say 17, and then he corrected himself and said, no, it says F first. So we need to make sure we keep it in that order. No one has done that so far. So I want to make sure that we know that it didn't come up until now. Make sure that you don't change the order up. Micah, question?
How did you get 9 plus 17 plus 5?
Oh, that's from the other problem.
Oh.
Sorry, that's from like this other problem. All right, so what did we find out F was? 101. So this is going to be one where I definitely want to set it up and down, so I can borrow. So 101 minus 17. 1 minus 7? Can't do it. Can I borrow from 0? No. So I'm going to borrow from 1. 1 becomes
0.
And now that 0 is 10. Now can I borrow from 10?
Yeah.
So that's 9, and now this is 11 minus 7. 4. 9 minus 1. And 0 is just 0. So I got 84, which was in my original problem. Do y'all see how those match? So we have the right answer. All right, number 6 has a fraction, but we're not scared. Okay. What? So I'm going to ask a more broad question. So I'm not going to be as specific as I've been, all right, because y'all are doing really well. What am I going to do to both sides in order to solve this problem? What will I do to both sides to solve this problem? Griffin? Mm-hmm. What will I do to both sides to solve this problem? Jackson?
Make the fractions this way.
Mm-hmm. Gage? Mm-hmm. Jake? Plus 1/2 on each side. That's it. Remember, put your pen where your letter is. What number is beside it? 1/2. Now, normally when we do fractions, we write them next to each other. So I'm going to write this over to the side if y'all are okay with that. All right. What's the opposite of minusing? Plusing or adding. I don't know why I'm using such bad grammar over here. I don't know. I'm sorry. All right. Okay, so, guys, did I do anything special to this just because it was fractions?
No.
No, I worked it exactly like we did the whole numbers. All right, what's going to happen to a minus 1/2 and a plus 1/2? Tyler? It's like 0. Those are opposites. It goes away, so I have x equals. Okay, now I do have to add these fractions, which we might have to kind of jog our memory a little bit. Does anyone remember our rule for adding fractions? Juanita? They have to have the same denominator. So their bottom number has to match. Right now, do they match?
No.
No. But 5 and 2, what's a number that I can multiply to make them both match with, Gray? 10. I can make them both a 10. So I'm going to multiply 5 times 2 and the top times 2. And I'm going to multiply 2 times and the top times. So 2 times 2 is over 10 plus 1 times 5 is 5 over 10. So when I add that up, I get 9 over 10. Guys, that's as hard as I'm going to give you on the fractions. Like that right there is as challenging as the fractions will get. All right? And I know for some of us that's exciting. For some of us it's still fractions, so it's still probably a little bit challenging. All right? But I'm not going to make them harder than that. We do need to check it. Which one? You're good? Okay. All right, so we're going to check it. All right, we're going to check it the exact same way. What did my original problem say? What did the original problem say, Micah? X minus 1/2. Do y'all see where he's getting that? So we're going to write X minus 1/2. Okay, right there. All right, what did I just find out X is? What did I just find out X is, Ella? 9/10 minus 1/2. Can I subtract those right now?
Nope.
No, my bottom number doesn't match. What would be a good number to make them match? Griffin? Adrian? 10. Because I can multiply 2 times 5, and that would make the match. I think that's what you were thinking, Griffin. Okay. So I'm going to have 9 over 10 still. That doesn't change. Minus 5 times 1? 5. And 5 times 2? 10. When I subtract that, that gives me? 4/10. Now, guys, is that a good fraction the way it is right now?
No.
No. What can I do here? Juanita? Simplify it. 2 will go into both of those. So 4 divided by 2 is?
2.
And 10 divided by 2 is? And now if I look at those, do they match? Yes. So now we got that correct. All right. So here's the good news. With my advanced classes, we did work these 2 problems. I'm going to send out 2 videos tonight. If you want to look through those, you can. We're going to go through them later, so it might be a good idea. But for right now, I want us to flip it over, and let's look at some of these homework questions. We're going to come back in my regular classes, and we're going to look at those a little bit later. Okay? We'll come back and do 1 and 2 another time. All right. But for us right now, we're going to go ahead and start on our homework. So what I want to do is I want you to go ahead on number 1, I'm going to go ahead and draw my line. And on number 9, I'm going to go ahead and draw my line. And I'm going to pause the recording, and I want to give you a moment to work those out. All right, so I want you working out 1 and 9. I'm going to come around, and then we'll talk about those.